this is Cowboy. My name is Cowboy Jim. I'm actually doing my very first broadcast ever, trying to get started with the robotics. I started off loving on robotics a long time ago, and eventually, just recently, started using a couple of web emulation sites. And basically, what it boiled down to was just become a passion. I've gone a long ways based on Arduino, and have decided that my wife would let me be able to bring in a actual live robot. And we have gone through several different names. We have Arrow, we have Zeero Jr, and Arrow was the third. He's web-based off of circuits.io. Actually, all three of them were. And then we finally got a kit. We got a kit from Elegoo, which is a robot car kit, Smart, version 2.0. And I have not even cracked the case as much as I wanted to. So basically, what it's going to boil down to is, this is my first video. Going to hopefully be in a series of long videos. We've got, based on the stuff that I learned off of this, we'll be building other robots, and hopefully learn lots of stuff and have lots of fun. So here we go. We've got Arrow is still in his case. You'll see here in a second. And here we go. And this is the opening of Arrow. As you can see, we've got a thank you card from Elegoo. We'll save that. Yeah, we will. And Elegoo has, this kit has ultrasonic. It's got infrared. It's got the Bluetooth. I've already went out and purchased yesterday an extra set of batteries, so as soon as it would come across, we would be ready to go. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the batteries that Elegoo sent us, which are 3600 milliamp hour batteries. They're going to need to be charged. The kit is cold. It just got off the truck from UPS. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the batteries out first, so we can get them charging. And we've got a full set, which are 2000 milliamp hours, ready to go as soon as we start doing some testing. So bear with me as I look for the battery charger. That's the battery kit. There she is. Yep. Here's the charger. And you can see as we unplug this, this is the charger for the batteries that they sent. Move this off to the side. It comes with a charger. And like I said, it's 2000 milliamp. And we got the batteries right here. So I'm going to take these into the robots. Are going to have their own bedroom. We have 4 parrots. My very first parrot was a blue-fronted Amazon. Her name is Sweetie. She is awesome, but she doesn't talk much. And so I basically spent about a year with her, my wife and I. And then we brought in our next one, Maddie. She talks about 6,000 words per minute. And then I've got 2 macaws. We have. I shouldn't say I. They're our children. Well, we got new children coming in, and that's robotics. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to get these batteries charged. The parrots, I don't know what they're going to think of. The dog, the cat, we also got the dog, Daisy, the cat, Tig. Don't know what they're going to think about this robot. But the parrots, I'm certain they're going to be intrigued. I'm going to go take this back to the lair, which is the robot bedroom, which is past the aviary, and you'll eventually see that on live webcam on the robot itself. So, one moment. Okay, and so we've got the batteries charging. Now, the Elegoo setup, I've done some research, and it seems to get quite a few reviews. I've got one concern, and that was a YouTube video, or not YouTube video, it was just a posting, that there was some discrepancies with the adjustable speeds through pulse width modulation, or PWM. That PWM can be, it's supposed to be able to be varying of the speeds of the motors. But as I was reading through and looking at the pictures that he had, I think that's the older kit. So hopefully we don't have any issues with that, because I want this thing to be alive. It's literally going to be roaming around. The next stage in robotics, what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be implementing solar charging. I don't know that ARO5, we're calling 5.0 because ARO 1.2 is actually web-based. So if you remember the movie way back yonder, Johnny 5, well, this is ARO 5. First thing that comes across is the CD that's going to have all the instructions on utilizing it. We're going to be broadcasting that. We'll be using this on the same laptop, maybe one of my, actually I think I'm going to put it on another. I've got a big enough screen that I can look at it. This has all the PDFs of instructions, testing the motors, testing the sensors, whatnot. We'll put that on the computer here in a moment. For the Bluetooth, or excuse me, infrared, we've got a remote control that will be able to be used. There's a lot of people that I've been watching. Biggest one is Jaidyn. I will be putting a link to his information later on. The next piece that I got here, this is actually the motor controller. We've got a bunch of miscellaneous screws and whatnot, the motor mounts. Get this guy out of the way. This is either the Bluetooth or the wire infrared. Nope, here's the motor controller. And you got the wheels, the battery casing, and the motors. A couple really tiny screwdrivers that I don't know if my fingers will fit around it, but we'll see. A little bit bigger screwdriver. These are actually to mount the ultrasonic sensor, which we'll be using quite heavily. These are the cablings. Now, the one thing that going back in my research, when he had problem with pulse width modulating, is the fact that he had to switch pins. Pin 10 did not work for pulse width modulation. That is my only concern at this point. You'll see that right here we've got this guy. These are already preset. I am not an electronics genius. I did buy my very first multimeter yesterday. Charged up those batteries, playing around with testing the voltage. I'll be learning a lot about that. But these cables, it's either going to work or it's not. That's one of my concerns. I may switch over to, if it doesn't work the way I want it to, which is to slow the motors down. I don't want them to go full bore. I want the batteries to last. And I also want to have a little bit more control over line tracing. So we will see. We will see. The next piece is the USB. This will connect the Arduino to the laptop. And this guy is the eyes. This is our ultrasonic sensor. This basically sends out through one side, it will transmit, send out a beacon signal out to an object, and another side will return it. I don't know which side is which. This side right here, the one on your left, is actually the one that transmits. And then this side goes on this receive. My first Arduino unit. That's how tiny it is. It is absolutely tiny. Not nearly as big as I thought it would be. And then we've got, what do we got? Oh, we got the servo, a mini servo. That will actually take the ultrasonic sensor, go left and right to take readings of distances. And our line sensor modules. You'll see that they are basically just 3 small little tiny cards. And they've got a sensor on the bottom, right here, that reads darkness or light, and that's how it will read the predefined tape that I already set up for its own kind of bed or docking station, following lines. This is the infrared sensor, and another screwdriver. And then finally, the 2 levels of base that it's going to be held up on. So let's get this party started. I'm going to take these guys, set them over here. And then I'm going to first set up my PDFs, get through. I probably should have done that first, but I didn't want to break the case. I wanted this to be remembered. And how far I've come, 25, 30 years down the road if I'm still alive. And let's see if we can get this disc pulled up. Recording laptop. Hopefully it doesn't hurt the performance of the video. Either computer. Trying to see which one. Can we try plugging this into your laptop real quick? Alright, well, I just noticed this. The disc is bad, so what we're going to do is they have the PDFs and all the files, as you can see. It's actually pretty smart. Not going to give it out for Elegoo's purposes, but they've given me the password to unlock their PDFs, which I had already downloaded and was trying to get a head start. Where's my downloads? There it is. We're just going to test the camera as well and wait for that to load. Yeah, wife is watching. She's testing it. But hang on 1 second. Close. Alright, so we are going to assemble the car. This is lesson 0 on the zip file. And it's going to ask me for a password. And we'll see if the file comes up. There we go. Awesome sauce. Alright. Awesome sauce. Alright, so we will set up another camera just for this. Too much stuff on my laptop. There we go. I don't know why I was doing that. And, oh, can't add another one. Alright, we'll just go off the Adobe file. Any rate, so this guy is going to be built. We're going to first start assembling the motors, it looks like. We've got a set of M3 nuts, aluminum block, the motor itself, and then PEX screws. So, start pulling these parts out. There's the motors. Oh, yep, I probably should switch over to the cameras. There we go. So we've got the motors. That's going to be put into place. And my wife thinks it's cool as hell. She thinks I'm a geek, but she loves me. I don't know why. Oh, the transition? Yeah, that was pretty cool. See, we got a co-communicator, whatever you want to call her. I call her beautiful, ugly, whatever. No, I didn't say ugly. That's me. Call me cowboy, call me Jim, call me ugly. Just don't call me late for dinner. And these are for the motors. You can see right here. This is for the motors. Showing the pieces, the nuts, 8 pieces. So that comes out. And what else did we need? We needed the aluminum blocks. I don't know why I'm doing this on the web. I just think I'm a total geek, but I love it to death, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to get going. Can't wait to have this thing rocking and rolling. And he will actually patrol throughout the house. My wife is so patient, so willing to be nice to me. She actually is letting me set up a ramp because otherwise the robot would be limited on where he could go. So we've got a ramp set up. What did I do with the motor mounts? Adam. That's the motors. couldn't have ran away too far. Yes, I'm going to. Alright, we're going to set this aside. Adam, where'd they go? Moving blocks. Lost them all. It's the sensor. That was batteries. Those are charging. Okay. Did I mess it up already? What happened? There's a plastic bag with 4 metallic plates in it. No, that's for the sensor. Kind of looks like that, but they're... They were flipped over. They were so small I couldn't see them. And they were flipped over. I didn't see the sticker. But you can see, as soon as I saw a block, that's basically what it was. My wife scared me to death. Yeah, me too. I want ARO5 to be birthed today. I want him to come alive. Short Circuit, awesome movie. It's actually the movie that one of the first movies that got me interested in doing robotics. Johnny 5 was awesome. Okay, so we've got the motor blocks. And I've got the design up here on my second monitor. We're actually in a room full of about 45 computers. Just a little bit of a geek. I'm more of a networking type person. This is the first component level I would have ever done. In fact, I'm going to bring this guy up here so I don't lose anything. Keep stuff organized. So the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to take the screws. I thought they had the motors binded. Well, they do. You see, and they're also protecting the ends here. You can see somewhat clearly. They're protecting the ends with the wires going into the motor to make certain they don't get tugged on or pulled apart with some zip ties. That's to help secure it, help protect the wiring so it doesn't get ruined or hurt. And basically, we take a look. Let's see here. Coming off of the motor side, the motor mount goes like this. And it comes across like that. And we take one of the little tiny nuts. Now, as I watched a couple other sets of videos building Aero's cousins, I learned quite a bit. Don't tighten until ready, and especially when it comes to the troubleshooting, putting the body together, the chassis. Don't do too much. Don't tighten them all the way down because, like in that pulse width modulating problem he had to tear it apart in order to get back at it. And that was simple as that. The very first piece assembled. Find my screwdrivers. going to make these fairly snug. There we go. And that's one. We just need to do that with the rest of them. Check and see if my audio is coming through. Oh, you know what? I bet you it isn't. Is it? Okay, good. I didn't even think about that. I'm going to pull it up on the Roku to see if it worked. Yeah, I figured you'd hear me. Not many people would want to hear me, but and again, I'm checking these wires, making certain they're nice and snug, nice and tight, so as to protect those wires from coming off the motor itself. Third motor, tighten it up a little bit. We've got 3 of them so far. And all motor mounts done. I didn't even think about this. Should be good there. I think the motors come up like this. Might have to adjust. I don't know how. Yep. And then I think the other 2 are reversed. Yeah. So we're going to have, we've got 2 that are going to be shown with the mounting screws right here that are going to go into the body, the chassis. You can see those little 2 screw indents. And then the other 2, that's supposed to go like this. And the other 2 are going to be with the screw indent pointing down. We'll do the second one like that. I was just notified that there are 6 people watching, including my wife, so that's only 5 important people. It's got the look of death. Top it off, feeling really, really not so well. Certain I got this one set up right. Okay, so did I do that right? Nope, I did it backwards. Dag nabbit, Wesley Wabbit. Alright, we'll pull them back apart. Thought I had it right. Guess I didn't. We're just going to flip this guy upside down. Uh-oh. Oh, there's a nut. My big concerns was I've got two cameras running. One's actually got power to it. The other one, they're both based on IP camera off of Android. The one that you're currently watching is having is strictly on battery, but it's holding up pretty good. We're still got 86% battery. That's why I got that battery indicator there to monitor. If we have to, we'll move stuff around, but didn't have power accessible to that one spot. Okay, so now I've got that problem fixed, and we've got two that have holes on the top in the sine direction, and then two on the bottom, and that's just to have their corresponding look on the frame. So set those two guys apart. And what's next? Alright, now you take the motor units, put it on the acrylic plate, part of the chassis, with 3 M3 hex screws. Those are for. Now, great. Okay, so this should be A. Yep. See here, we got A and we got B. They marked them. Elegoo did a really nice job setting this thing up, and I think this is their third version. This guy over here, this is going to be the top plate because that's where the ultrasonic sensor's servo is going to go. So I know that's the top. Set that off to the side. And then we got the B. And the first thing we do is take off the protection from the acrylic. Just put my nails and I can't get them, can't get the paper off. Can't get it off. There we go. Really hard to get that thing started, but once you do, just peel this back nice and slowly. Get these tabs on the end. this next side. First, I thought that alarm going off in the background was one of my birds, but wife took off, so I guess it's not. It must be dinner. Okay. So now that's taken care of. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a screen to show you. Let's see here. Let's switch this guy over here. Bring in another screenshot, screen capture. Wow, it worked. It shows the PDF file. And there we go. So, as you can see, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be taking this guy. Which camera am I on? Right. We're going to take this camera, and we're going to take this guy, and we're going to mount these so that the motor end is going to be pointing out on both sides with the mounting screws face to the acrylic, face down to the acrylic. Now, I'm not certain if that one, the aluminum block, 4 pieces. Okay. So, we're going to take the remaining screws right here. You see this tiny little guy. And we're going to basically screw it into here and have the tip end of the motor facing outward to the front and the back. So, don't lose them. Tighten it down. I want to make certain also that these are going to be lined up properly and help the wheel alignment so it doesn't sit there and go around in circles. They've got this kit set pretty well up from what I can see. Nope, wrong one. Okay, so now we're going to continue doing that for the other 4 motors. Again, this is another one that, whoa, ha! That's where that extra nut went. I thought they gave me an extra. I'm missing a nut on this motor mount. Okay, there we go. This guy's going to be going on the back end. Birthing of Arrow. I have been dying to get Arrow for a long time. And that's the wife. I said, not please. We're just starting to straighten out some finances stuff. And were able to bring Arrow home. Actually, we didn't bring Arrow home. UPS did, but who's counting? Let me tell you, I was like an expectant father. Just kept on pacing while I was hacking up my lungs because we're both going through a cold. There, we've got the first two motors put on already. Somebody said on the internet through one of my viewings that it's about a 45-minute setup. Well, me doing the way I'm doing it with all the y'all and whatnot, and I don't think it's going to be 45 minutes, but I don't care. This is a big thing for me. It's funny, everything comes because of my wife. I started off wanting a parrot. Little did I know, one day we were taking a trip to Chicago to get a parrot. I didn't know this. My wife surprised me. And that's when Sweetie came home. Maddie, who's not the big mouth, but the most talkative mouth of the four, has, like I said, a vocabulary of about when we first got her, 3,000 to 4,000 word vocabulary. Now sitting upwards around 6,000. They used to have a dedicated camera on them until we had bandwidth issues and it was going to kill my internet connection. So we stopped that. Now it'll be basically a live stream of the robot running around random situations, random times. And I'm installing the final motor. No parts left over for the first stage. It's pretty damn good. Although I thought I had, and I thought they were nice and gave me an extra nut, but later found out, nope, I missed one on the motor mount. Okay, as you can see, got all four motors put on, secured nicely. Taking a look at the alignment, make certain they're aligned straight. This one's actually a little bit off. I'll go back and tighten down just eyeballing it. It looks about right. It looks about right. And there you go. Now, we've got the motors mounted. So now we're going to switch over to this guy. And we're going to come back and take a look. Okay, this is the motor control. As you can see here, see if my mouse will show up in the camera. It doesn't really. But right. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. But pay attention to the direction of the L298N module. So that's where we get the motor driver. And here is a nice electronics plastic safety bag, anti-static. Motor controller. So, the L298N, as you can see here. Oh, we're not on the camera. So as you can see here, it's the L298M. I'm supposed to make certain I put this in correctly. I'm taking a look at it. Okay. Where are those front screws? Okay. Now, the way I'm looking at this is if you go back and take a look at the PDF file, you can see at the very bottom, it's got those 6 different holes right in the center at the very bottom. Now that's where the line sensors are going to go. So that's where you see right up here. Up here is where those are. So I'm just making certain I've got everything aligned correctly. The heat sink goes back to the back. Now it says I need M3 nuts. Or I'm just nuts, period. For the cell box. This is for the cell box. This is a clear face plate. And here's these screws and nuts for the L298M. Get a drink of water. So now, I'm going to take these guys and mount. There's nothing left. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've seen in one of the videos that I was watching, they were putting double-sided tape as a cushion, but I had spent all my money on getting that multimeter. I wasn't able to quite get the double-sided adhesive tape, so I'm not going to torque these down. I'll eventually go back and put that on to protect the underside of the motor control. These things look really, really close to timer. Yeah. Alright. And it's going to be done in 30, so I have to have Arrow all fully berthed before then. And so, like I said, I'm not going to torque them down. I don't want to damage anything on the bottom side. I don't think I would. Nothing's really conducting electricity in the bottom. However, I do want to be careful. So, Arrow's the first, and he will be around for a very, very, very long time. So, we got the L298M in, and that part's done. So now we're going to switch back, and we're going to go back down to the next page. And line sensors, line trackings. Alright, now I need to pull those out. We're going to break this up into multiple projects. First project, the first video, is going to be the actual building of ARO5. And then the remaining videos will each be on the testing, and they'll each have their own broadcast. Now, here are the line tracking. You'll see on the bottom, they've done a good job. From what I can see so far, my opinion so far has been very, very good, very, very pleasant. They got marked 1, 2, 3. Oops, I'm not in the right camera again. You can see that we've got them marked each 1, 2, and 3. Like I said before, we brought this in. See right up here, these are the 3 sensors holes, setup holes. We're going to put those on. Now, put those in there so I don't lose them. And we are using seven millimeters. That was okay, so this is going to take see what I'm looking at here is I'm just watching the screen. And 3 hex screws, 3x7. Cell box. Okay. M3 nuts. 3 of them. Not what they're showing on there. I'm a little concerned about that. Pull those off to the side. See what else we got. Ah, here we go. This looks like what we're looking for. And if you take a look at that, with the copper pieces, switch that back over to here, and you can see we got the top screws that come down in through the plate. Going into the coppers got their own nuts. So that looks like what we're looking for. So we'll dump those out. And put that into this camera. Dump them in here. Alright, so we're going to take the bottom plate, we're going to move it off to the side here for a minute. Now, go back, take a look. They want us to put the copper fittings in first, screw them down. Should be 6. Way. Right. No. Getting ahead of myself. Okay, so these are the actual sensors right in here on the bottom side. Okay. And you can kind of see the reflection. Now, that's going to face down like this. And that's what tracks the lines. So we're going to take the screws. Nope, not that guy either. Come on, copper fitting. Dingbat. Copper fitting. Oh my god. That guy wasn't lying. This is hard with fat fingers. Take and bring closer to me so it's easier to handle. I've already started developing a wish list for my next robot. Once I got the basics down with this guy, we're going to I've already started developing that so that I'm ready to go. Man, this really takes tiny fingers. So there's the first one installed. So you can see it right here, the one I'm tapping on. And I got that front hole I still got to fill. Might as well do the hard one first. Like I said, I've already started doing a wish list with different sensors, temp sensors, NOx sensors, ultrasonic sensors for the next guy. My wife has been pretty much the one giving names. I think I gave Zeero. No? Yeah, I gave Zeero the first name. But she's the one that's been giving the different names so far. You can see I've got that one done. I just need to complete the other two. Trying to be careful with electronics, as always. You want to be careful with those. Ooh, upside down. Be careful with electronics. You don't shock your with the electronics. Again, I'm not an electronics engineer. Never have been. But I enjoy futzing around. I've been mostly started off in 1979 working on computers. Got my first computer, a TI 99 or a Texas Instruments 1000. Timex Sinclair 1000 was my very first computer, and been told I'm no longer a computer geek, but a networking geek. I've got 9 professional grade Cisco routers, about 45 computers in the house, of which about 7 of them are not currently working, different problems, not powering up. Really don't have the drive to mess with them right now, because ARO Sr. or Zeero Sr. and Zeero Jr. My first basis, I'll give links to those, how far I've come. I've really taken over my extra side time. I've also been dealing with some back issues that have been a challenge. Going in for my 4th procedure here in the next week, 4 weeks. That's the earliest I could get in. To Platteville, Wisconsin. Yes, we are broadcasting out of a small town called South Wayne, Wisconsin. Don't come and rob me. If you try to, ARO5 will announce an intruder and call the police. He's not quite that capable yet, but we'll see. Also on the bottom, I was going to mention this earlier. You can see right up here. See our little white circle? Just put my finger over right there. That's actually to adjust sensitivity. And we'll be learning more about that later, I'm certain. It's been such a cool project. I wish he was already built, so I could start running him around the house. But he's not yet. We'll get there. Patience is a virtue, so they tell me. Never been good with patience. My wife has got good patience, I'll tell you that, because she has been, patient with me from the get-go. We met actually while I was homeless. Long story. But she and I met, started talking on a Sunday through a website called Plenty of Fish. And she kept on saying, "You hang up first." I said, "No, you hang up first." And by Tuesday we had met, and we have never, ever, ever been separated through a night since. So, that's the third sensor. All three of them are set up. Now we're going to set them up on the plate. And basically, the reeds are going to go up to the front. And they're going to come up like this. Take the additional screws. These are long enough. Yep. Cool. Alright, we're going to start with the back first. And we're just going to take the screw and screw it. And tighten it. Again, I'm not going to torque them down real tight. I'm going to make them fairly finger tight. Fairly finger tight. Now you see the first sensor has been put in. And she's all ready to start reading. Now the question is, it's supposed to be, yep, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I don't think it matters. Yeah, I'm gonna go back. It's supposed to be on the other side. Woohoo. This is supposed to be in the middle. It really doesn't matter, but I am going to set this up perfect, just as it's supposed to be, because I'm anal that way. My wife wishes I was more anal about cleaning, but I try to do my part. We did a lot of cleaning and prep, moving stuff around. We moved, I'd rented a second apartment for the boys, for the kids. They're gone. So we had to move a bunch of our stuff out from over there, and now we've got a house that's filled, and Zeero Jr.'s brother's and sister's room is going to be horrible. Make sure that's straight up and down. And we also got another camera view, by the way. I'm going to bring this guy over here. Nope, not that one. This guy. You can actually see what I'm doing here. We'll bring it down to this one here. And I'm going to finish composing these two. One over there. And there we go. Put the second screw in for number 3. We'll put number 1 in. Until I get really good at the programming, we're going to be using line sensing to head to what's theoretically their bed or their charging station, and that will give us the easiest way to be able to dock. Because eventually I'm going to have probably 3, with my limited space, I'll probably have 3 docking stations or beds for each of the robots. Like I said, we're eventually going to be going to solar charging. Line tracking is the easiest way to get to where we need to be. And then at that point, once we get past that, we're good. I can get down into the actual intelligent docking procedures, knowing exactly where they're at. I've been doing some further research on that, and we'll be progressing as we go along. But sure they're all the same. And there we go. All 3 line sensors are in. Okay. So now we will go back up to here, and we will take a look at the next page. Now we're going to be mounting the Arduino finally. We've got a sensor board. We've got some hex screws. The Arduino, it's not an Arduino, it's Elegoo's version. R3 board and M3 nuts. Now a little disclaimer, Arduino.org is an open source robotics programming. All possibilities. Support them. Do whatever you can. I'm very limited on funding, and this was a good kit that I could get. But if I had the money and the know-abouts, I would not have started off this way. I would have gone with an actual, genuine Arduino unit, because they do get money off of it. I'm going to set this guy aside, and we're going to start mounting the actual Arduino. So here we go. Set that up here. And we'll set it up here. Static bag. And that thing is just tiny. Compare that to my buck nut. That thing is tiny. But got a lot of processing power and have a lot of fun with it. Set that aside. Oh, yes, and I'm dealing with these back issues. It's hard for me to bend. Now, let's see. We need the other plate. Oh, brother. I hate peeling these things. Haha, this one came off easy. That was quick. If they do that to protect the plastic, the acrylic, if you peel it slowly, you get the edges on these small pieces right here come up, and then you come back on this side and just peel back this way. Straight down. There's nothing to lift. And this guy, and it goes straight, well, goes straight off. Sorry, I had to get something to drink. Trying to peel these things off. Looking at the battery, it looks like the battery's holding up pretty good. There we go. That started. There we go. Pull it back nice and easy. And get it all. And coming up to these side posts in between the wheels. Alright, so now we got the acrylic, we got the Arduino, we need the sensor board, and set everything together. So now we're going to switch over to this one. And you can see, shows the assembled unit, shows it putting it together. Sensor board is, come on, sensor board, where did you go? Ah, there it is. I think this is it. This one's actually not marked, but you can see, I could tell this is the sensor unit because I know it's got the Bluetooth, the line tracking, whatnot. So, pop this baby open. And now you notice I got the plastic on here. That's to protect. It's got pins on the bottom. It's actually going to plug in up here. Very, very tiny, very, very small pins. They're actually going to plug in up here. We need to make certain that they're straight when we go to seat it. But they have that in there to protect this. I'm going to pull it off carefully. See? And you can see these tiny pins. And they're going to match up on this guy. Make sure they're all fitting into their little tiny holes. Just like that. And I hope to have a video that's very much like my hero. You'll learn about him later. He's pretty cool. Got a lot of interesting stuff, does some 3D printing. He's actually the very first video that I ever watched was his. And if you go out to YouTube, duplicate. I don't want to go to live. I want to go to mine. But Jaidyn, I don't. He's got a nickname. There's Jaidyn Edwards. You go to YouTube, and I'll have a link to his. That's actually my very first video I ever watched was of him. And he does a lot of teaching. And so we'll be giving him some props along with Griffes. He's the gentleman that I watched talking about the Elegoo's system. And then there's some others, and I'll be putting up a link to my favorites. Stachness, Shinsel. Shinsel is really, really cool. If you want to get into robotics, he's got some really, really good videos. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get this guy mounted. We've got them put together. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that yet. Should I have? No. Come on, seriously. Okay, so pull it back apart very carefully. Not to bend the pins. Set it back on the plastic. Set it aside. There's a lot of people. I've done a lot of research, and I've made a lot of progress throughout the amount of time that I've had. And trying to get this thing situated. I spent a lot of time learning the web-based stuff, whatnot. So let's go like that. Can't tell by the lighting. Okay. So yeah, it goes like this. Now, another quick sip. And I think at this point, the wife just announced that we're going to have dinner. We'll go ahead and take a brief pause, be back about an hour, and we'll continue on. As much as I hate to put ARO5 away, stomach says differently, and the wife always cooks well, so we'll sign off for about an hour, and we'll be coming back for part 2.